Go ahead.
Announcement is made that adequate notice of this meeting has been given, and it is being conducted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 at sec of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. You want to call the roll,
Yes.
Nora?
Berkowitz is not here. Jaskowitz?
Here.
Kaplan?
Here.
Parikh?
Yes. I'm here.
Yep. Snyder's not here. Willens?
Here.
Ira came.
Present.
We also have with us our board attorney, Mr. King, our board planner, Mr. Chadwick, and our board engineer, Mr. Holloway.
Okay, let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long time. We're back.
I'm sorry, you're on mute.
Am I on mute? I can see where this is going. Although I am gonna miss the fact that I can have, Earl stop people. That was, putting people in timeout was, oh, that was precious. Is there any member of the public that has any business to be brought to this board that is not on this evening's agenda? I hear none and see none. We have resolutions 2110, 2112, and 2034. Can we have the same people vote on those three, Nora? Who can vote?
Two are, no, they're all different.
All good.
Somebody want to move those three applications?
Sure, I move for the adoption of application 21:10, 21:12, and 20:34.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Okay, Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Kaplan?
Yes.
Parikh?
Yes.
Willens?
Yes.
Ira came.
Yes.
And no one else is here that can vote.
Okay, we're gonna go right into the applications then, Nora? There's no other business, is
Nope,
there?
go
No
right
correspondence?
into it.
Nobody's bailing on us or anything?
No.
Okay, let's call application number 21:14. VJ Iyengar, is that correct? Did I pronounce that right?
Sir, come up to the mic, please. Could you raise your right hand? You swear firm testimony about to give before the board is true self you got?
Yes.
And for the record, state your name. You're the owner of the subject property? You can sit and keep your hand down. Mr. Chairman, the witness is sworn.
For the record, Ms. Schneider is here. Okay, so you're seeking a C variance to install a generator and a pad. And I guess you want it on the side of your house, is that correct?
No.
No, in the back.
No, that's not.
The deck.
Oh, I'm wrong. You're on the wrong.
Would you like a generator?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading number one over, would you like a generator?
No, I don't.
We can possibly get you some,
We have to.
Okay, all right, boy, you can see how long it's been. So you're looking to, construct a 225 square foot sunroom addition over an existing open deck, and you're looking for an impervious coverage, variance of approximately 6%. You have a lot that is this a conforming lot? This is an R3 zone. R3 zone, okay, so you've got a substandard lot in an R3 zone. You've only got 7,671 square feet, where the minimum for that zone is 15,000 square feet. So if you had 15,000 square foot lot, you wouldn't be here. Correct?
Correct.
So why don't you tell us why you want it? You're not looking for any, what? Hmm? Okay, so you previously got approval for the deck, and the patio was installed after, and this further increased the impervious coverage. So tell us why you want to put this room on.
can you repeat that, sir?
Give us a little background.
Oh, sure.
Why do you want to put the room on? Is it, you know, you have a family that
Sure.
likes, do you like to entertain? Do you like to watch the ball game out there?
Yeah.
What, just
Yeah.
give us some
Yeah.
info.
Absolutely. So, 84 years is quite old, and that's the age of my father. In my house, the way the layout is set up, there is no room, there's no place on the first floor for relaxation, other than the family room and the living room, which are all formal places where either we congregate to eat food or,
Right.
you know, sit. So my father it would be tough for him to climb the stairs up or climb the stairs down, because my basement has some area where he can rest and relax.
Right.
Neither can he climb up to
I
rest and
understand.
relax. That's number one reason why I wanted to get a place, which is a sunroom, which is off of the kitchen area, the
Right.
kitchen and the dining area, for him to kind of walk in the main floor, for him to relax. Also, COVID has brought in a lot of work from home opportunity, right?
Right.
For me to have a home office in front of my family would be very advantageous, and me being on the same floor would also help. So these are a couple of reasons why we wanted to get that.
Basically, family issues and
Correct.
a better quality of life in the home.
Exactly.
Any other questions by the board?
Well, Mr. Chairman, my only question was that they were given approval for amount of impervious coverage, and then when you put the deck on, you exceeded that impervious coverage with a concrete patio, correct?
So February 2021 is when we moved into this beautiful township. November in 2020 is when we actually bought that. So all those things precede me. I have no, I don't have a history of that. I will listen to you and not.
You didn't do it.
I didn't do it.
You
Yeah,
didn't do it.
I-
Thank you. Okay,
I was
David?
not the owner of the
Okay.
property.
What does the patio consist of? Is it cement? Is it stone?
Pavers. Yeah,
Pavers.
pavers, yeah.
Water go through them or?
Yeah,
are they
yeah,
grouted?
it goes through them all the time, yes.
How about the deck? Is that the water goes through that or is it tongue and groove?
It's a Trex deck, with the drainage, capture at the bottom of the deck, so that it channels the water back into the
Oh, really?
ground, on the side of the house.
Wow. Okay. So it's dry underneath it?
Yes, it is, I would say about 80 to 90% dry underneath. Yeah.
Is it up in the air or is it down close to the ground? You can't
Yeah.
walk underneath it, can you?
Yeah, I can. So the way the house is structured is you enter the main floor at the level of the living level,
Mhm.
and the deck opens up to that living level. But the back side of the house, since it's situated on a hill,
It drops off.
it drops off, so there's a walkout basement, and the patio opens to the walkout basement.
Okay.
And the deck is almost on the first floor, if you can
Okay.
imagine what I'm
So
saying.
effectively, the water does, the way you've got it set up is to keep underneath it dry somewhat.
Correct, yeah, exactly.
So this isn't gonna change anything.
No.
Any other questions by the board?
Yeah, can you clarify when you bought the property and when you moved in again? You said it very fast.
November 2020 is when we bought the property. February 2021 is when we moved in.
Did you buy this on sight unseen, or?
No, we saw it once.
Okay. All right, but again, to the chairman's point, you didn't make any, from the time that you purchased it, you made no home improvements to this
Absolutely not,
site?
other than painting to the
Right,
spouses like
okay,
me.
got it, thank you.
Mr. Bree?
Yeah, do you know if deck and the patio, they both were approved in the past?
As
Yeah,
Mr. Roberts said,
there's an attachment. That's, they're,
There's a paragraph that summarizes,
Somewhere
basically,
to
he
get
got a
it
variance,
Application.
and he exceeded what was given, and this gentleman's attorney didn't pick up on it prior to closing, so we got,
it says here, there's prior approval, October 10th, 2010, 2007.
Thanks.
Are we here for the patio?
No,
No.
for the,
Deck above it?
yeah,
How is that considered additional impervious coverage if it's?
it really isn't. I mean, what,
That's gonna be my question. It's
the
not.
additional impervious coverage
Really
was
doesn't-
put in before he bought the home. So that's what you're getting is somebody who exceeded their variance, that's what you get.
So that's the increase here, it's not
Yes.
because of the
It's not really
addition
the
over the
deck.
deck?
Yes.
Okay,
it's
that's
to, I guess
misleading.
to approve the,
Okay.
Essentially, we're legalizing that? The patio?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically what we're doing. Any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on the testimony given? I hear none and see none. There's nothing else you'd like to add, right?
No.
Okay. Any members in the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application, in support of this application? I hear and see none. Someone like to make a statement on this relatively de minimis situation?
Sure, I'll just say that it is extremely de minimis, and you're really just not changing any of the conditions with the way the water's flowing, so I'll be voting for it.
Thank you.
Someone frame a frame a resolution?
Yeah,
So we
in
can
application
continue?
number 21:14, VJ Iyengar, 33 Winterset Drive, Block 14, Lot 17.35, Zone R3, that we grant a C variance to construct the sunroom addition over the existing open deck contrary to sections 430-35, column 13, and I guess, right, legalize the current impervious coverage, right?
That sounds good.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Jaskowitz.
Yes.
Kaplan.
Yep.
Parikh.
Yes.
Ready.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Willand.
Yes.
Ira King.
Yes. Result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this in, next week or the week after?
I can,
Next week, we'll memorialize this. Is next week our remote meeting?
Yeah, we have a special meeting, but maybe.
It'll be on the video next week if you want to actually see us, but you don't need to. You can come, you can call Laura the next day and she'll give you her paperwork, okay?
Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care now. Okay, let's call case, 2053, Richard Taft, 76 Alexander Avenue, a D variance for a storage container. Good evening.
Good evening.
Swear in.
raise your right hand, you swear affirm testimony you're about to give the board is true self you got?
Yes,
And for the record, can you state your name?
Richard Taft.
And you're the owner of the subject property?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, have a seat. Mr. Chairman, he has been sworn.
Okay. You're looking to, keep a storage container on your property?
Yes.
Which you need a D variance for. So you want to tell us a little bit about what you plan on doing and why you plan on doing it?
Well, the original plan was to build a house there, and if you'd like, I can give you what we were planning to put there, that is this house.
You're not gonna do that?
Well, that's really gonna depend on what happens here today, but,
Okay.
the original plan was in 2008, we were gonna build this house, the plans were drawn up, everything was done. The house was there, built in the early 50s with the original development that was there. My wife is in a wheelchair, so modifications to the house were going to exceed the value of the house. So we decided to go with a better home, that was more accommodating to her, including, an entrance ramp that's built into the house, a three-stop elevator to allow her to move around the house, including being able to, sleep in her own bedroom for a change. Unfortunately, we all know what happened in 2008, with the finances of the country, and I was laid off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was without work for a year.
Oh, my gosh.
That caused problems, of course, with bills, with my mortgage. I was very close to being foreclosed on. I did manage to get some contract work, but wasn't able to secure health insurance. And during the period of time between now and then, I've had 4 heart attacks, including the last one, which required open heart surgery. And 2 years ago, I had a stroke.
Gosh.
Also during that time, my father-in-law developed the aortic aneurysm. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's what killed John Ritter, the actor. About 5% of the people that have that survive it.
Uh-huh.
And he was many months in intensive care, many surgeries. His wife Karen helped support the family. She was working and helped with my wife, who's in a wheelchair. Unfortunately, 4 years ago, this past September, Karen was killed or I should say murdered, by an off-duty police officer in Ocean Township when he was driving his vehicle drunk one night while him and her husband were celebrating their 2-year rebirth anniversary of him recovering from his aortic aneurysm. So we've been through quite a bit. I've finally gotten most of the bills paid, and I'm being told by the bank that once my current mortgage is paid, that they will consider doing a mortgage for me to build this house. We do have to do a little starting over because the original builder, including my $30,000 deposit, has disappeared. Also the stocks that I inherited from my father along with this property will hopefully have recovered sufficiently to allow for a good deposit so that the bridge loan will be smaller. The plan will be then to move into that house, fix up my current house, and sell it and pay off the bridge loan.
You just have to give some testimony as to why you need this storage unit on this property. That's what the application is.
The storage unit contains pretty much my entire family history. I live in a very small house. It's a ranch-style house, 2 bedrooms. There are 5 people living in it. My wife sleeps on the couch. My father-in-law sleeps in the dining room. I have a house guest that helps us with the heavy lifting because I can't do it. He lives in the second bedroom, and then I live in the other bedroom. So all the family memorabilia, my father was an only child, and I have memorabilia that dates back to the Civil War. Lieutenant Taft, who commanded a battalion at Gettysburg. I have his uniform, his sword,
Could you
that
give
sort of
us,
stuff.
maybe like talk about this storage unit?
Sure.
What it's made out of, how big it is, where
It's made out of steel. It's a standard shipping container. It's 10 by 10 by 40. It was placed on the property in 2008. I put some pieces of furniture, a lot of family memorabilia. My father was a electrical engineer, so all of his tools are in there. My grandfather was a mechanical engineer. All his tools are in there. A lot of the tools that I bought are in there. There's some large ones, table saws, joiners, things that are too big for the current house. It also contains the lawn maintenance equipment that I use to maintain the property, including cutting the lawn.
Do you have a garage?
No, I do not. I live on 1/3 of an acre.
So why
But there's
could-
no building on this property, correct?
There's no building on the property
Okay,
right now. There's
got
just
it.
a storage container.
Mhm.
The storage container will go away once the house goes in.
Why did you select the storage container versus shed? Or something of that order?
A shed,
Yeah.
because they don't make one that's big enough.
Oh, they make big sheds.
Well, they make some big sheds, but they're usually not as secure as the one that was there. They're also quite a bit more expensive than what I had to spend at the time. The current unit costs me about $110 a month to rent. Looking at a storage facility, I would have to dispose of 2/3 of the contents of that shed. It would cost me about twice what I'm paying now, and it would be 30 miles in the opposite direction of where the house is now.
What's the situation with your neighbors? How close are the homes near you?
The frontage is 100 feet across, all right? It's pie-shaped, so it's about 300 feet across the back. They're there, but they're not very close to it.
It's really wooded, it's wooded back there, right?
It's wooded back there. The storage shed itself is probably about 1/3 embedded into the
You
woods.
said that thing,
It butts up against the fence that is where 287
Yeah.
runs through that backyard.
you said it's been there about 12 years?
It's been there since 2008, yes.
How did you wind up there?
How did I wind up here?
Yeah.
The town received an anonymous complaint about the storage container. They also have received several anonymous complaints about the lawn, anonymous complaints about a fox living on the property. It happened about 2 years after I complained to the neighbors about throwing lawn debris in my yard, including rocks that caused $500 worth of damage to my lawnmower because I didn't see them under the leaves that they put on the property as well.
So you haven't been getting along with your neighbors, so.
I haven't been not getting along with them. I haven't heard,
That was really.
I haven't heard anything directly from them.
But for all intents and purposes, the measurements that you outlined in your testimony, this is basically a mobile home. This looks like a metal mobile home.
It's
In
more
the
like
back.
a tractor trailer.
Okay, tractor, okay,
one of
like
those-
the bed of a tractor
It's a
trailer.
big,
Okay.
mobile homes are not that
It's one
big.
of those
Yeah.
containers you see on a container
Mhm.
ship,
Yeah.
that's all it is. Yeah, I gotta tell you, Mr. Ted, you're asking a lot of us to approve, you're asking for us to go pretty far out on a limb to approve such a thing, when there are alternatives. There are storage facilities all over the place. And I know when I moved out, I sold offices and I had to find a place to, and it's available.
I have
You've got
looked for storage
alternatives, they're
facilities,
available.
and they are far exceed what I will be able to afford. They also are near the property, so I would have to find some way of transporting the lawn equipment there, or do something about the grass to stop it from growing.
Well, I'm sure if you're friendly with your neighbors, they may allow you to keep your lawnmower, at their properties, maybe.
I have
tarp
talked to
over it or
the
something.
one neighbor, not the neighbor that I feel is complaining, but the other neighbor. He is in construction, his garage is full.
Mhm. I don't have easy answers for you, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not enamored with allowing people to put containers. It's not a storage shed, it's a container. It's a shipping container, not meant to be long-term storage on the ground. Believe me, I worked in
I
Elizabethport.
kind of wish I had
for 5
known that
years.
that would be a problem back when I filed for the application to tear down the house. I discussed this quite heavily with what I was going to do with the property with them.
With who?
And said that.
With who?
With the people in the,
Who?
for the
Who?
permits. I don't remember the
In
man's
what,
name.
in what department?
Where I filed the permit to tear down the house.
In the building department?
Yeah, in the building department. I explained to them what I was going to do, that I was going to put a storage container there.
Well,
They
you
told me
obviously don't have
nothing
any of
about
this in
it.
writing.
Hmm?
You obviously don't have any of this in
I
writing.
just have the permit that I applied for. There's nothing in writing about it.
Based on the aesthetics of your neighborhood, do you really think this container was gonna fly in this neighborhood?
Actually, yes.
I don't understand that.
It's buried in the back of my property.
I don't care where it is. Aesthetically, you have neighbors to the right of you and the left of you who want to enjoy their backyard. And I'm just thinking aesthetically, did you really think that what you put back there was consistent to the,
To be honest
to
with
the
you,
neighborhood?
if either one of my neighbors put in a container, regardless of what we're doing here today.
that's not my
Either
question.
one of
That's
my
not my,
neighbors
that's
put that
not,
in
that's
there,
not my
I
question.
wouldn't have no problem.
That's not my question.
We figured that because we have it on your property.
Well,
Yeah.
Regardless
But
of
that's
that,
not
and I
even my
mean, if you
question.
kind of look at this, it's not really about the container, it's about the fact that there's no house there. Because if there was a house there, no one would care at this point.
Now, I sincerely disagree. If it was a shed that was commensurate with the tone of the, and the aesthetics of the neighborhood, I think you would meet with a different, reception here. It is industrial, and you're not in an industrial area.
Okay. Would it help if I painted it camouflage?
Okay,
instead
now
of
you're
the
being
color?
sarcastic.
No, I'm.
Now you're
really
No, it's not
asking-
gonna help.
I'm
It's not gonna help
No,
painting it.
short
You're
answer is
talking about
no.
the aesthetic.
Maybe-
I'm trying to change the aesthetic.
Maybe if you put a significant amount of vegetation around it so no one saw it, but that's gonna cost you quite a bit of money to have enough vegetation planted around that thing. so
Yeah,
you don't see it.
around the storage area, can you put some,
I gotta tell you, you have a very sympathetic story, and I feel terrible for your circumstances, but if I was living next door to you, I would not want it there. So I don't know how I could vote for something that if it was next door to me,
Well,
I wouldn't want it.
I must say, I'm not asking for a permanent, I'm just asking for, at least up until the point where my current mortgage is paid off, which is in 2025.
No, it's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Maybe 6 months. Maybe we'll give you 6 months to rearrange.
In
things. You're
6
not
months, I'll
getting
have
four-
no
you're
choice
not
but
getting
to
4
throw
years.
out everything that's there.
Unfortunately, that's not our problem. Okay?
I understand that,
We
you're
have,
just doing
we
your
have,
jobs.
we have a certain responsibility to this town. And we have turned down, and I'm not saying exactly the same, but similar situations of businesses in residential areas, in the wrong thing in the wrong place. We try to be very, very accommodating, but this is not the case here. This is not something that, I don't want to see it there. And I probably don't go past your house if ever. So,
maybe 1 year.
You might wanna consider buying a, what's the most you can,
Eye-pleasing shed.
what size shed can you get without a building permit?
200 square feet,
10 by 10.
10 by 20.
200 square feet.
10 by, so you get yourself a 10 by 20 shed, and,
Okay.
you know,
And then I just have to decide what I don't keep.
Up to you.
I guess that's up to you.
Okay, so
All right.
throw my family memorabilia away. Okay,
You don't have to throw your family memorabilia away. If you get 90% of it into, or 80% into a 10 by 20 shed, rent yourself a small unit in one of these places. They sell them, they're 5 by 10s. Less than $100 a month, because believe me, I just came out of one a few months ago.
okay.
All right? You don't have to throw anything away if you think about what you're doing. So, I mean, you don't want us to take a vote on this, do you?
I'm pretty much sure what you're gonna do right now, and I don't like it. There's not much I can do about it. I understand that I'm gonna have to get rid of it, and I will do that
You
as
don't-
best I
Let
can.
me interrupt. You don't understand. If the board votes on it, you're gonna wind up in zoning violations, municipal.
I already am. I have a hearing about that tomorrow.
Okay, if you ask for postponement and come back with a revised plan, this board still has to approve it, which
As I said-
may help you out in municipal court.
Yeah.
It's essentially going to delay the inevitable. It's basically
No.
what it's gonna do.
If,
I've been trying, since this anonymous complaint came in, I've been trying to
You
do
didn't
something
listen- you didn't listen
remove.
to me.
Don't you understand that one of your neighbors is not happy with it? They didn't call on you because they just felt like it, unless you did something to them and they're trying
Oh,
to
I did do
retaliate.
something to them, yes.
So they're retaliating, okay?
I went to them and, as a neighbor, rather than going to the police, I went to them to say, please stop doing that, or I'm going to have to call the police. And this is what I got.
So you've been asked, do you want to withdraw the application and come back with an amended application?
he wouldn't be able to come back. If he withdraws it, he's gotta file a new application. I don't think you got what I was saying to you. If you ask the board to postpone it, you could amend your application to the shed form, which the board may have an appreciation for. And you would still be within the current application. And you would be able to go to the municipal court and say, we're on hold for an amended plan. If you say, no, vote on it tonight, and you're gonna start all over again.
Okay.
Basically, what we're saying is we'll carry this case. We'll give you 30 days to come up with an answer. We'll give you until July. Just put them on the first meeting in July. I'm sure we got a full agenda, but I don't think this is gonna take more than 10 minutes. Is that okay, Nora?
You got it? You understand?
What is that, July
Oh,
9th?
I understand, yeah.
July 9th, Nora?
That would be July 14th.
14th, Bastille Day.
Mhm.
So do you wish us to carry this case to
Yes.
July 14th without any further notice? You don't have to notice anybody, but we're going to probably ask you for an extension of time. If you don't agree to the extension of time, we'll vote tonight to deny it. So you agree to all that?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Snyder, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll see you on July 19th, the 14th.
What you say, if
Thank
anybody's
you.
here.
Is there anybody here for that application? Nobody's here. All right, let's call case 2044, Akshaya Patel. Did I get that right? 47 Rockaway Boulevard, C variance to construct walks, legalize a concrete patio, and legalize walks.
Who's gonna testify, both?
He's the owner, I'm just helping him.
Okay.
So we're gonna swear both of you in, okay?
You raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God?
Yes.
And for the record, can you state your name, sir?
Rakesh Patel.
And sir, your name? How do you spell it? Okay. And how do you spell it?
Here.
Okay. Okay. And, you're the owner of the subject property?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking for a variance of 12.67% of impervious coverage. You are in an R4 zone, R4 60 by 100?
Yeah.
And it looks like you approximate 60 by 100. Looks like 60 by 97. Almost conform. There are the patio is existing, and we just want some walkway to go around the back, is that correct?
Yeah, just, it's for, yeah, it's a walkway he put down around the house, 1 feet.
Violation too.
The walkway is existing?
It's not a walkway, he built it, because the problem is that house is in the flood area. I have some picture here, and lot of water coming from the neighbor, and the back neighbor, they protect, block the water, so from the back side, empty lot, everything is coming inside. And continuously, there was, crawl area had a 3 sub pump, it was continuously running all year around. Water comes back to the yard, and then it come back again in the crawl area. And there was animal problem, the mouse is coming in. We went to the engineering department, and then engineering suggested to put some drain backside and bring it up all the way and see how it works. He tried that, but the front is higher than the back also. So what he did is to protect the foundation, it's not the walkways. One side is 1 foot, other side is only half feet, to protect the foundation and protect as much as water go inside the crawl area. He put the concrete around the house.
And who advised you that that would work?
He just did his own.
Does it work?
It works. Now he has only 1 pump, and the water is not, and deck also, existing deck is wooden deck. He put tile underneath, there's a big pipe that's going inside. When it's rain, all the water from neighbor everywhere, it goes there and then goes inside the crawl area. And it's a 6-inch pipe in the crawl area. And engineering department say you cannot block that pipe, because if you block, then it's gonna flood.
Where does that discharge to? The pipe?
The pipe goes to the crawl area and the pump just keep running.
Oh,
It's
it
a lower
runs through, it gets pumped out by the sump pump.
sub pump.
Where's that go? Where's that
Yes,
discharge?
is outside the backyard. Again, what the same water goes inside.
Wait, where's the sump pump discharge, in the street or in the back?
On the back. Street is far away. It's on the back side.
and
the
that's-
water-
And it keeps running back into your
Yes.
property?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're pumping water uphill?
No, it's pump out and then this pipe coming out. This is existing house when he purchased, way before this Sandy also is the same thing.
But your solution with sump pump, you pump the water to this point, the water comes to this point and comes right back into your yard, right?
Yeah, it goes in the backyard, throw it away, and then it's seeping, and then it comes back to the same pipe, goes circular. So he put, without taking permission, he put concrete walkway around. They call walkway, but he's just protecting water going inside and protect the foundation.
But it's not really protecting the water from getting back inside.
No, it's going to the ground.
It slowed down a lot.
Slows it.
It slowed down a lot. Now he has only 1 pump right now.
But there's still water,
Still water, yes.
so it didn't really solve the problem.
He put some kind of drainage from the backside and bring it front driveway. And then it's some water going front, but still whenever low rain, neighbor water, and there is backyard neighbor, he protect, I have picture. He put some kind of protection, not water going to his property, it's coming back to his property.
Was there ever a professional that looked at his situation, other than the town?
He did ask, you asked a couple contractor, right? Yeah, contractor. We called couple contractor and he says it's a major work, you have to take permission, you have to fill the dirt. He did, couple truck came back and put the dirt without permission, city came, and then they says you cannot put this, it's a wetland.
But
So
did
has to remove
did he ever get an engineer to give him a solution rather than a
Civil
contractor? Right, because a contractor isn't as accomplished as an engineer who would come up with a plan that works, not just something that maybe doesn't make sense.
So I'm myself is professional engineer, civil engineer, and I went to the town in engineering department to discuss. And he says, just do this way and it might work, but on the front curb, if you want to break the curb, then you have to go through town for other permissions.
Usually the town employees don't tell you to do this
No, I
without
just
really.
discussed with
Yeah,
them.
just-
I gave
Yeah,
them the
'cause that
plan.
doesn't make sense. The town isn't saying, go fix it this way. It doesn't really work that way.
Are you familiar with the NJDEP floodplain requirements?
Yes.
And did you receive permission to do this work?
No, we did not do any work. Only thing is started, it was around,
You raised your
around the
property.
house, you put this concrete.
Yes, that's
Can I-
Everything was existing.
Can I just establish a timeline here? This survey was dated, let's see, July 21st, 2020. Is that when he bought the house?
No, he bought it in 1918.
1918,
18.
2018. Was the patio in when he bought the property?
Yes.
The patio was there, so he didn't put the patio in?
No, no.
Do you know when the patio was put in?
It
Any
was
idea?
there and I checked 2010 Sandy picture and the patio was there. So it was there for long.
Prior to 2020, the patio was there?
Yeah.
2010? 2010.
He put in the concrete walk and the
Yeah,
curbing
that's all he
around the
did,
house.
right?
You said you were a civil engineer.
Yes.
Can you get the water out the front?
If you have to do a lot of survey and then you have to put perforated pipe around with, something inside and then you have to dig all the way and then make sure this area right here is lower than the backside, or the pipe has to go straight and goes to the inlet, then it will work.
Have you looked at that? Because right now, it doesn't sound like anybody's doing anything. I mean, pumping the water out the back to let it come back in the building again it doesn't sound like a solution.
That's up to him, how much he wants to spend and how much intense
Well,
work.
his house is gonna rot unless he gets it fixed.
Yeah.
Piping into the curb is often a problem with the icing situation.
I don't think he needs it. He's got a water thing in there.
Yeah, but you got the engineer.
Well, he said he put filter in it and then made him take it out. You put dirt in the backyard to raise your backyard, and then you had to remove it.
Yes, because he didn't took the permission.
Okay,
City came,
so
so
that's,
city kept calling.
it's back to where it was when he
Yeah,
bought the property.
they came, they check everything is the back, the way it is.
And I guess my question would be, when you bought the property, you had an inspection done on it. Did they indicate that the house had a water problem at that time, or is this something else that caused this to be new? I mean, I would have guessed that the way the topography of the property is, the water's been there a long time.
Yes.
It was there when you bought the house.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, the report says that they don't believe all the material was moved.
That's correct. All the fill material, the first paragraph.
My suggestion is.
Do you have this document from the engineer?
No, I don't have it.
You never saw this document? This is the engineer's report?
It was sent to them.
I know inspector call, I didn't see it, maybe they mailed it to him, he
Here,
didn't
you
give
can have
it.
my copy.
My suggestion to the board.
Because you're gonna have to pay attention to this letter in whatever we do, okay?
Is the applicant asked for a postponement? I didn't catch your name, sir.
Rakesh Patel. Rakesh Patel.
Speaks to his neighbor or friend or acquaintance, however it is, and looks at a solution to this with the improvements relate to that solution. Because right now, we don't have either. And it's a necessity to obviously get this water. What he's doing now is he's just gonna rot his house away.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is you ask for a postponement, sit with your buddy, figure out what kind of solution, maybe you can help out or do majority of the thinking process, price it out, say, okay, this is what we need to do. And carry this for, let's do 60 days.
Come back in
Give you a
August?
chance to talk, think about it, if you put a plan together. You may say, look, it's beyond us. We can't afford it, and we're gonna have to rip this concrete out that we put in. That's where you would be if you can't come up with a solution. I think you want to take a think about it.
So,
And it give you, I mean, if you need more than 60 days to think about it, tell me.
Are we gonna want him to bring an engineer and testify?
Are you a licensed engineer in New Jersey?
I'm a licensed engineer, but I'm not helping him, not in New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I'd like you to see the picture. Neighbor is closing this water, and somebody town has to come up and tell them, because
Well, that's why I'm telling you,
Okay, are you gonna give us these photographs as evidence? Because we're gonna keep them if you're gonna give us the good.
Yeah, I can give you as evidence. No
All right,
problem.
and what is it, please explain what it is, who took them and when they were taken
When did you take this picture? Yesterday? He took this picture yesterday
by the applicant.
by the applicant. He's in the backyard. And if you see from the back, looking on the backyard, is a left side neighbor. The plot is empty plot, but the left side neighbor, house guy, he put something to protect water going to his property. Now those all water, since his area is a lower area compared to all other side.
What did he put up? A wall?
He is kind of,
Can I see the
screen or
photograph?
something.
And you have no idea whether his neighbor has permits for whatever he did or whatever? Correct?
I have no idea.
Right.
I never investigated it.
These are
This is just
one,
rainwater?
2,
Yes,
Rainwater?
rainwater, yeah.
3,
With a high water table, I'm guessing.
4,
Sometimes maybe high water
Five-
table turning on.
five
the pump, but
photographs.
Majority of
Mark
time it's
A1?
the rainwater.
Yes.
5.
Not rain.
Okay, so, I don't know what this is. This looks like more the same.
There's some more picture about
This is the neighbor's property or your property?
that's his property.
That's
This
his-
water comes there, he cannot do loan move anything. It's just stays, water stays there.
Oh, stagnant.
can't really see it.
And this is all holes made by rats. The snakes comes there because it's all underneath this dam, there's a big hole and the pipe. All the water coming there.
Well, the rats probably attract the
And then
snakes.
rat just stays there because it's everything
John,
goes up.
what do they do in these circumstances when they're in this area and everyone's
see
getting water?
Yeah, let me take a look. Yeah, it sounds like you're gonna try to get a professional to, give us a plan on something that's gonna fix this situation. And also, we have to, looking at the township engineer's report as far as the flood hazard area and riparian zone, that, they have to remove if there's any excess fill still on the property, because you're only allowed to build at or below the flood elevation. You can't fill in anything. And you need a general permit that you have to get by the township engineer convincing that the general permit governs, and/or then you have to go for an individual permit if that's not the case, to do anything within a flood zone.
Did you get all that, what Mr. Holloway said?
Yeah, I'll ask owner what he wants, how far he wants to go, because he says only reason he's here that if you put walkway around the house, and I don't know how intense he wants to work, he can remove the walkway or whatever you tell them, remove the patio, he'll remove the patio. It's a bad situation. We went to engineering department 5 times. Inspector came and checked all the dirt what he was put it in, he was satisfied.
Well,
He
that's
did
not
all-
what his letter says. His letter says that he's not satisfied. He doesn't think all the dirt was
We
removed.
can satisfy him, we can remove and more water will go in, but it's okay, if he's satisfied, if he
Look,
wants.
we don't want, this homeowner to have any negative impact here. We want to fix it.
Yeah,
We
that's,
want to fix it right, okay? Not, a little chewing gum and keep the leak. If- and-
The picture shows some kind of fabric, almost like a large silk fence, so I don't expect it to hold back any water.
Yeah, see,
So the fix you put in helped a little bit, but it didn't cure it, but you're also in violation of the code, okay?
No, I understand that.
Okay,
That's
so,
the
so
reason I-
we,
yeah, I agree
we're
with
not
that
gonna be
one.
able to approve that fix that you made, that didn't really work anyway. So the suggestion by Mr. Chadwick is, you take a master planner, come up with a possible solution and come back to us, because you're not gonna get approval tonight for this application.
Okay, so you want to come back with the plan, you hire professional engineers. Hire for over. then who is, let's say, hire someone and then say, look, he's gonna do something to contain all the water coming from the neighbor.
Whatever the plan is to take care of the water situation on your land, that will stay with, allowed us to approve that plan. What you need to come back with from.
Whatever the recommendation he makes it, then you agree to do. That's how.
We don't come up with the solution, we're lay people, you need a professional to come up with a plan that we could review to say, all right, that makes sense, because right now, it's just a mess, and
This is a quality of life issue here. If the applicant improved his property and he wouldn't have to deal with all this stuff, the water, the pump, fix it, get it fixed right. I'm sure it's gonna be a few bucks, but I don't know what to say beyond that.
I'll discuss with him and see
Okay.
how intense he wants to spend money.
All right, let me ask, do you wanna chat a little? We'll
Yeah,
we'll
please.
put you in
Yeah.
the holding pattern, and you go back there and you talk about it. I'm gonna
Okay.
call the next case.
Sure.
All right, and when you're ready, wave to me, and we'll
Sure.
listen to what your explanation is.
Chairman, can I just get 2 minutes?
2 minutes?
Maybe 1.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. I'll participate if you do.
Maybe we'll do that with the Zoom. Maybe I do, that's like the woman that was boiling eggs. And she said, "No, come on over here, let's have sex on this." You here for this bit? Chair.
He's here for this case. It's Danny.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
What is she here?
This
This case.
How are you?
No.
How are you?
Go ahead, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Members of the board, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I thank you for coming out, especially this is my first hearing in live in several months myself. It's certainly nice to be back in front of people today. And given the extreme conditions everybody's had to work under, I do appreciate not only your time here today, but your professionals, Mr. Chadwick, Mr. Holloway, as well as Ms. Jolie, who tirelessly worked to try to get us here today. We do appreciate this and everybody's time spent. Today, we're here to talk about 25 Route 46 West, which is the Shell Station and W's Fresh Mart, which is the corner of New Road and 846. This is an application a few years back you approved originally as a 7-Eleven. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. We've been operating the store, my client's been operating the store with a W's Fresh. And we're here tonight to provide you a proposal to upgrade the site and to change the building and move it around the site a little bit to make a drive-through operation there as well. To present this testimony tonight, I have John Palis, who is a civil engineer, who's from Dynamic Engineering, who prepared the plans. And he will testify to you to the site and to the conditions both that are existing today and the conditions which we propose. We will then follow Mr. Palis' testimony with Nicholas Verderisi. He is a traffic expert who will be able to answer all of your questions and present to you how the site will operate, not only as it interacts with Route 46 and New Road, which we all know is a very busy area, but also how the site will operate on site. And then we'll finally have John McDonough, who will testify to the planning rationale for the relief we're seeking here tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to answer all of your questions, and again, I do appreciate everybody's time here tonight, and I think it's a site you're all most familiar with. So without further ado, I'd like to call John Palis.
Sir, raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony you're about to give before the board is true as help you God?
I do.
For the record, could you state and spell your name?
John Palis, P-A-L-U-S.
And you're a licensed engineer?
Yes.
All your licenses are in full force and effect?
Yes.
You've been sworn to either before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
I have lived before this board and 125 other various planning boards, zoning boards in the state.
Mr. Chairman, he's been sworn as an expert.
Mr. King, thank you for going through that. I do appreciate it. Mr. Palis, if you could you just please describe the site as it exists today, and then go through the modifications that are being sought for the property?
Certainly. The first exhibit I have is the aerial map exhibit. It's a colored version of what was submitted in the plan, A1.
Yes.
So the subject property is in the the B2 zone, block 770, lot 1, 25 US Highway Route 46. The property itself is 0.74 acres. As the prior approval granted, we have a 2,818 square foot convenience store, impervious coverage of 61.2%. We have 6 pumps that are located on the north side of the site with a total of 12 filling positions. The site contains a total of 13 parking spaces. We have 1 driveway to 46, which is a right in, right out due to the median. We also have a driveway to New Road, which is right in, right out, primarily due to the 7 lanes of traffic that are on that side. To the north is Route 46, commercial uses beyond. To the east, we have the Rockaway River, with some industrial further. To the east, to the south, is a retail strip center, with some residential further down New Road. To the west, we have commercial located along the 46 corridor with some residential down to the southwest. Switching over to the next exhibit, this is the site plan rendering. Sheet 1 of 1 dated June 9th, 2021, that would be A2. Colored version of the site plan with the landscape overlaying on top of it. The changes on site from an engineering perspective aren't that significant, as we were recently here for the redevelopment of the site. At this point, the convenience store would be demolished. We would take down the canopy and the pumps as well. We are proposing a new 1,475 square foot building that would be located on the east portion of the site, relocating the canopy, reconstructing it to the west side of the site. So we are changing the circulation on site, but we're only going to have 4 pumps with 8 filling positions, so that's about a 33% reduction. The canopy columns are located a little bit closer. The underground storage tanks at the northwest corner of the property are going to remain. It's a fairly significant investment. We're probably ultimately going to have to put some sheet piles in when we put canopy back up. We'll probably do a deep foundation, at least for the northwest canopy column, to get it below the depth of the tanks to ensure that there's no issues with that. The new canopy will be reduced from 27 foot by 72 to 27 foot by 48 foot. So there's a significant reduction in the canopy size itself as well.
If I can interrupt for a second, could you please just verify the date, and have these plans been submitted to the board?
This represents the latest submission, which would have been the drawings that were revised through May 24th, 2021.
That would have been, for example, sheet number 4 of the submission.
No, this is the new plan.
What's the date on it?
Well, it's dated June 9th, 2021. We have the double stack drive-through on the south side of the site. We have the crosswalk that's located from the sidewalk to the trash enclosure.
June 9th.
Because this is a rendering, it's an exhibit. It's dated June 9th because it's tonight's hearing. So this references the site plan that was submitted, that is dated.
Okay.
The drawing was dated October 23rd, 2020, with a revision date of May 24th, 2021.
Okay.
It was original sheet 4 from
Right.
site plan set, and again, it's dated last revised date 5/24/20.
May 24th is the basic date.
It's the base plan. Correct. We just put the landscape on top of color to pretty it up, so we gave it a new date for the exhibit. I apologize for the confusion.
Great.
As far as access to the site, the new road and the Route 46 driveways will remain as is, so there's no modifications proposed there. We're proposing a total of 13 spaces where 9 spaces are required. I know that there was a comment in one of the review letters regarding electrical vehicle charging station. We're not proposing any. This used the fast food restaurant, we most likely would be something of a coffee shop nature. Ideally, it would be a Dunkin' Donuts. You have a fairly low, very quick turnover. We don't have any seating in the store itself, so no one's gonna be stopping, hanging out inside. It's gonna be quick, you're gonna pick it up. This is really a drive-through only concept, is the intent. We could certainly put in an electric vehicle start, like we could put 2 in if the board felt it was appropriate. But it's not part of our proposal, but if the board felt that they wanted to see that, we could certainly do that. For the drive-through entrance is located at the southwest corner of the site. It's a double drive-through. This is a new concept. You've probably seen it similar to some of the larger, like the Chick-fil-A has a double drive-through, McDonald's has a double drive-through. Dunkin' Donuts is having that because the ordering actually is what's taking the longest. The Dunkin' Donut production of coffee is much faster than what you have at some of the other franchises that are out there. It's very quick, so processing with the double drive-through, they're seeing significant reductions in stacking. In any case, we have 13 cars stacking here. The traffic engineer is going to testify as to that as a surplus of more than what we need, but we like to provide that as a little bit extra safety. We have 2 menu boards that were located in 2 preview boards. They're on the south side along the drive-through lanes and 2 clearance bars, and I'll speak to the size of those momentarily. As far as loading, we don't have a designated loading space for the site. This type of use, it's only 1,400 square foot building. It's primarily going to be serviced with box trucks. It's going to be coming during off-peak hours, probably very early hours or overnight. We would utilize our regular parking spaces. It's a simple box truck. The deliveries associated with the tanker are going to be consistent with what's happening today. They pull off a new road, station at the northwest corner of the site, and then egress out to 46. We don't expect any changes on that. Employees, you're looking for the automobile fueling, primarily 1, you might have 2. But I think this site would probably be 1 employee. The restaurant itself is probably looking at about 2 employees. Again, they're not expecting any counter service at this. This is primarily a drive-through. Refuse, we have a 10 by 20 trash enclosure that's located at the northeast corner of the site. We've kind of tucked that back. There was a question relative to, in one of the review letters about a generator. It was not our original intent, but if the board wants us to, we can certainly add a generator. We would probably slide it to the rear of the trash enclosure and have it there to facilitate the site. Touching base on, I guess, some of the geometry of the site, I mentioned that minimum lot area, the ordinance requires 40,000. We're at 32,333 square feet. That's an existing nonconformity. Unless we're able to acquire part of the Rockaway River, I don't think that we're going to be able to increase the lot area. The lot width required is 200. We're at 157, again, an existing nonconformance. The rear yard setback, we're proposing 45.1. It's an improvement over the existing conditions where 50 foot's required. So we are improving the rear yard. The side yard setback is new. The building is being shifted further to the east, which is considered our side yard. There is almost a nook, and you can see it at the southeast corner of the site where the drainage comes in, and that's our easterly property line. So our side yard setback is 29.6 feet where 50 foot's required. Again, there would be no significant impact because that's adjacent to the Rockaway River, and there is already development over there, just not a structure. And the minimum gross floor area, ordinance requires 2,500, where we're proposing 1,475 square feet. Lighting, we were here relatively recently. We're essentially mirroring the lighting that was here last time, so I don't foresee any significant modifications to what you see out there today. We're proposing to relamp 3 of the existing LED lights, area lights. We have 2 new single-headed LED area lights, 1 double-headed. Those are all at 14-foot mounting heights, and then under the canopy, 8 canopy lights, which will be a little bit less than actually what was out there before. The building itself has 5 LED wall lights to hit the perimeter and the part of the pedestrian area on the west side of the building. Landscaping, the site doesn't have a tremendous amount of landscaping today. We are proposing to increase that. We have a total of 4 shade trees going in, 109 shrubs, 50 ground cover, 29 perennials, and 58 ornamental grasses. primarily focusing on what would be the southwest corner, a little shade in proximity to the building, and then lower vegetation that would be along the 46, the new Road 46 intersection.
And if I just may, there's a comment on number 6 of Mr. Chadwick's letter today, that we would be happy to work with the forester and the town on the improvements that they see necessary for the plantings that we propose here.
Can I just cut in for 1 second? Do you have a plan?
Yes.
What is your plan?
So, we are asking 90 days extension.
90-day extension?
Continue.
Okay, so what does 90 days give us, Nora?
You know, September 29th, we're so booked.
September 29th.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
already booked, or you?
No, we are booked up until that point.
Okay, September 29th, no further notice is necessary, but you may have to give us a letter of extension, okay? Nora will go over that with you.
So you need engineer plan or plan of grading over what comes, right?
You need to satisfy yourselves, and you need to satisfy us that what you're doing is gonna work, okay? Yeah.
I would say you need an engineer's plan.
Yeah, it should be planned with inverts, grades, and cross sections
So
if you
we'll
need it.
work on our property, and town has to do something about outside, because there are a lot of things existing. Water is coming from the neighborhood property, how we can control that?
Look, why don't you sit down with the town engineer again?
Yes, okay.
And figure out where you are, and then to the extent you're gonna participate, great. The extent you're gonna have to retain somebody, we'll figure that out. But you've got to sit with the town engineer or one of his assistants and say, okay, here's what the conditions are. What can we do? Because the board has said, we're not gonna approve something that is not working.
Okay.
Okay?
No problem.
So the motion to carry that case to, motion carrying case number,
Second, Jaskowitz.
With extensions.
case 2044 to September 29th with extensions and with no further notice required. Okay?
Okay, and then
Thank
regarding that later, we'll talk to the engineer.
Talk to the engineer.
We'll call the inspector, we'll remove whatever defects.
Okay, very good.
It's gonna be.
Is there a motion to that effect?
You've made it.
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. We'll see you.
No, it doesn't. I guess we got a new meeting. I didn't know we had a meeting this.
So picking back up where we were.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Just wanted to,
Well understood.
trying to expedite things.
Absolutely, absolutely, thank you.
I got a quick question on something that was, you keep saying, as we introduced a little while ago, when was a little while ago? When you were referring to,
When was the last time this?
it was years ago, not a little while ago, okay. All right, yeah, I'm listening to you very carefully. I was just wondering.
3, 4, anybody remember this case with me?
Yeah. Say 20?
3 years ago, 4 years?
4 years ago.
4 years.
Okay, go ahead.
Wasn't Lou Rego the lawyer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you
Oh,
keep
I-
saying, like, I'm listening to you, and I just don't know, I'm having an out-of-body experience because I don't remember you, and I don't remember this just a little while ago, that's all.
I apologize.
Okay,
It feels very recent.
okay, not to me.
From an architectural standpoint, we're gonna mimic what the existing building is out there today. It's gonna be the same, stone brick facade, so if you're comfortable with what's out there today, we're gonna do the same. Again, we'll have 2 ADA accessible bathrooms. The building's 1,475 square feet, pitch roof, the inside interior retail space, no seats, 318 square feet, so it's a very small area where you walk in that you could place an order. Again, we expect that this would be a drive-through, primarily a drive-through business. The business is along the western facade. We have a service door on the northern facade. And the drive-through is located on the east side of the building to maximize the queuing. Utilities, they're all there to the property. There's no need to provide any further extensions to the property. Stormwater, we are, I testified, the existing conditions are 61.2% impervious. We're reducing it to 60.9%. Accordingly, we're not a major development in stormwater regulations. Because we're reducing the amount of stormwater runoff, no further management is required for the site. Signage, there are 2 freestanding signs that will remain to be repaneled. There's no modification in square footage, height, or anything along those lines. I mentioned the menu and the preview boards. The menu boards are 36 square feet each. There's 2 of those, one at each drive-through lane, and then there's a preview menu board as well at 12 square feet each, located about a car length or 2 car lengths ahead of the menu board itself. As far as the building signage today, the north side has 2 signs that total 85.25 square feet. We are reducing it to 1 sign at 25.5, so there's a reduction in sign area there. The sign on the west facade, existing is 9.75 square feet. We're proposing a similar sign at the 25.5 square feet as the north facade. So overall, your existing sign area of the existing building is 95 square feet. We're reducing to 51 square feet. So there will be a reduction in the sign area on the building itself.
Taking back to that one, it's currently 9 foot, you put in 25, so you're putting a larger sign in on the other side.
Correct. Substantially.
Almost 3 times the size of the current one.
Yes.
But the total sign coverage on the site is going to be less than this.
That is correct. And I just want to, for clarification, I think there was an omission, the existing canopy signs, we are reconstructing the canopy. We're going to maintain the same logo on the canopy signs, so that will remain, so there'll be no change in that.
We don't have any pictures of all this proposed signage and everything else in the building right now, right?
I could show you an elevation if you'd like. For the freestanding signs will remain the same, the canopy's the same. I can show you the.
That's okay. All right, just, and on one point from our report here, it said the applicant is proposing a 1-story restaurant building with an 8-seat capacity.
That was the original submission.
That's no longer the case.
That is no longer, there will be no seating inside the building.
Okay, because it's still on here, so.
Could you give us a little dissertation on the steps and wall that are out there? I think there's some historical history of fishing or something, or is it gonna remain? Who is gonna maintain it? That kind of thing.
I don't think we actually know, and in the prior application, that one actually wasn't discussed. So my history with the site, I know that there's a set of stairs located at the southeast corner of the site that appear to step down to the Rockaway River. We don't use it. I don't know who it's used for. Title never picked up anything direct related to it. You know, if we need to clean it up, we certainly would clean it up. I don't think that the owner is aware of anybody who uses it now.
Oh, I was curious myself.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of been sitting out there, and it may have been used at one point in the past, but since we've developed the site, I don't think we can utilize my facility.
Could you describe the 2-lane and the 2 menu boards? Is there going to be 2 people taking orders, and 1 person that's switching back and forth? And I'm just trying to visualize 2 boards. If it's 1 or 2 people taking the orders, does it really make it that much faster if they have to go back and forth?
I've actually spent more than I time with operations and I care to relative to the drive-through components. They're very drilled in on exactly what they need for that. It's 1 person's taking for each, so it's 1 person that handles both menu boards. So, but because the car can get in, can kind of get settled, they can look at the menu board. Sometimes if you go to a menu like you're pulling up, you actually have to look through and kind of figure out what you want. So through that alternating with 1 person who's handling the call, they're just able to push things through a little bit quicker. Again, you know, anticipated to be like a Dunkin' Donuts. If you're getting a cup of coffee, they don't need the prep time that's required, so they can funnel it through fairly quickly. It's not like they're making anything that's very complicated, you know, these types of uses.
Is there 1 person doing the drive-through and 1 person at the counter for the walk-ins?
It's not a dedicated person. Essentially, you're probably gonna have 2 people that are primarily dedicated to the drive-through. If someone was to walk in, 1 of the people would walk over and handle that. The counter is expected to be fairly limited.
You don't anticipate people getting gas, getting out of their car, going in?
You'll get a couple. You know, what we've seen is the majority of people, even if they get gas, wait in their car and then they'll drive through the drive-through.
All right.
They actually, that's the majority of the maneuvers. In the event that somebody had something that was, they wanted to change after they went through the drive-through or they had to wait, that's typically when we see someone pull in and walk in.
So you're gonna have a maximum of 2 people in that building, and is it 1 person at the gas station?
That's
At the gas
typically,
pump?
that is typically what we would see. If we found that the gas required, sometimes a very busy site will have 2 attendants. If
Is
the
it
volume-
how, I know you said it's typically what you see, is it how it's going to operate at this site? Because this is a very important factor as it relates to the ingress, egress of that property, the intensification of the property as it relates to the drive-through and the operations on that, and how it's going to complicate the already existing traffic pattern, particularly on the new road heading towards 46, just prior to this lot, where there's a choke point where 2 lanes become 1 lane, and then the 1 lane tries to branch out to 4 lanes, and everybody's got to commit to where they're going, relative to 46.
From the gas standpoint, we're reducing 6 pumps down to the 4. I think it can certainly be handled with 1 person. That would be my expectation.
Oh, well, it's important to know how this lot is going to operate, not what's
If I may ask you
typical.
a question of Mr. Palis, which is, Mr. Palis, you're familiar with this type of an operation at other locations?
I've been involved in over 100 various gas station developments.
Okay, and with respect to the ability of the queue to be able to handle the traffic and the gas station to be able to handle the gas business without interfering with the roadway that's surrounding it, can you please just provide any information you might have on that to the board?
1 person can certainly handle 4 pumps. But if we anticipate.
That would be 8 cars, right?
8 cars, that's correct. And there's a number of gas stations up and down the corridor, so if you were to pull in or you're driving by, you see there's a number of cars, you'd probably move to the next one. But 1 attendant can certainly handle the 4.
And we'll have some additional testimony from Mr. Verderisi, who will also talk about the actual number of cars in the queue, which is in excess of what you'll find at really most any other location. My client has operations at the Garden State Parkway. I don't know if you've seen the ones on the north and southbound side, the Dunkin' Donuts and his, Route 17. So we'll have some testimony to talk about how those queues are actually smaller than was being proposed here. And hopefully you'll see that this is more than adequate to handle the volume that we anticipate.
So, and maybe this is not the right expert witness, are you familiar with the Dunkin' Donuts that's next to 325? Route 10 eastbound side, East Hanover, that's the 199 dry cleaners, and right next to it is the Dunkin' Donuts on the eastbound side. Now, that doesn't have a gas station, it is a small footprint, but the traffic dynamics is very interesting there, because, it builds up, and then it goes on to Route 10.
If you could just, the Dunkin'
You want me to
Donuts
hold
you're
off?
referring to, what was the address again? Because.
Well, I don't know
Mr.
the
Verderisi
actual
was-
address of the Dunkin' Donuts. I know it's next door to the Cleaners. The Cleaners precedes the Dunkin' Donuts, and I know the Cleaners is at 325 Route 10 eastbound side in East Hanover.
Okay. very
So,
good.
forgive me, it's next door. I don't know how
That's
it's
fine.
numbered there.
Mr. Verderisi, the wonders of modern technology,
Okay.
I'm sure he'll have a look at that site
Right, and
beforehand.
similarly, this board was presented with Starbucks on eastbound Route 10 in Parsippany. And again, we have that conga line, that coffee conga line, as I call it, that spills over to Route 10. And I'm just, concerned, I'm questioning whether you're familiar with that dynamic. And again, these areas don't include a gas station.
Mr. Verderisi can talk to that as
Okay.
well, but the time
Sounds
of
good.
processing a Starbucks coffee product versus the Dunkin' Donuts is entirely different. And I think you'll find queuing differences because of the types of orders that are being made. The line at the Dunkin' will go different and faster than you will with a Starbucks. But this site is not being proposed for Starbucks use. It's-
I understand that.
But again, we'll have testimony for you on these.
Okay.
Outside agencies, we received exemption from Morris County. Morris County Soil Conservation District is pending. DOT, the traffic engineer will speak to. And I know, I think both professionals raised a comment relative to the Rockaway River. I think this development would actually fall under a NJDEP permit by rule number 10. And subsequently, and obviously as a condition of approval, we would obtain the DEP approval. we would be waiting for the final layout to be confirmed before we go through the DEP process. I didn't have anything else on my direct.
I have a question. Since Superstorm Sandy, I thought that it was like mandatory for gas stations to have generators. That's not true?
I know there was discussion at one point, but I don't think it's for all gas stations.
There has been a program to help fund generators for gas stations, but I'm not aware of, I don't believe that there is any law that specifically requires them. But again, as we testified to here earlier, we'll be happy to put one in the back there. And one of the things my client was able to maintain a number of operations open during Sandy, and actually brought fuel in from Pennsylvania and Maryland to try to help people out here, around the state, not just in this locality.
Do we happen to know what the condition is of the existing utilities? Because if something wasn't apropos, we would have to make an excavation on a new road to hook up the sewer line?
I think it was one of your comments that we would TV it. We would certainly do that to make sure it's in.
Okay. But you knew, if in that case, if it wasn't, say, adequate, you'd have to dig up that small section of new road.
Correct. Okay. Correct. Again, we haven't had any problems with the existing infrastructure, so we don't anticipate a problem.
And just as another comment came up about the right-of-way easement and the status of that, and I have a copy of it here, but it was recorded or dated March 5th of 2014, recorded in the Morris County Clerk's Office in book 22-511 at page 919. So that has been recorded and is in effect. The easement is being conservative.
Any other questions by the board?
One quick question, you described the use, do we have hours of operation?
I believe we currently operate 24 hours. We would maintain the 24 hours for the purposes of the approval.
Both uses?
Both uses, yes.
The other thing is, seem to be comparing stacking issues with Dunkin' Donuts versus Starbucks, what have you, and I think your comment was this is not a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Is it a Dunkin' Donuts?
Currently, that is the discussions that are happening here, but there is no tenant permit in place at this point in time, but it is the discussion.
Because the question would be, if all the testimony is, this is how a Starbucks works, but we're not gonna commit to it, somebody's gonna have to dance pretty good.
So the answer to that will also be is that the queuing has been, and Mr. Verderisco talked to that, with the queuing and double menu board, is that pretty much any operation, I know that there's a concern that was raised about Starbucks versus the Dunkin' type of a use, but Mr. Verderisco will be able to testify to his knowledge of the types of restaurants that could potentially fit and use this site, and the ability of the queue to handle it, which we believe is more than necessary for the site.
So we're gonna have a class of restaurant that would fit in
Quick serve restaurant.
your testimony, okay?
Yes.
A quick serve restaurant, okay. And that will satisfy the issues of what this is gonna look like in terms of the colors.
Our hope is yes.
Okay.
Mr. Paley, one last question. With respect to the height of the canopy, could you please just review for the board? That was a comment that came on to make sure that the
I can be quick on that. It didn't show before, it does, well, the plans aren't there, but it says it's gonna be 15 feet, correct?
It's actually 15 and a half, but yes.
Underside.
And it's adequate clearance for a tanker.
Yes.
Any other questions over here? Any questions on the
Just
left?
one question, the engineer's report, did you have any concerns or comments in response to that?
If you have anything specifically you want me to address, I can, but I think it's everything we can.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure that you acknowledge that you have it and that you'll comply.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any members of the public that have any questions of this witness on the testimony given this evening? Please come forward and identify yourself. Does that microphone back there work?
Yes.
Hi,
Carmen.
Carmen Rodriguez. I'm representing 57-85 New Road LLC. We own the property adjacent to 25 Route 46 East. So my question is...
Wait.
Yes, on the strip mall, New Road Plaza.
It's 14,400 square feet. It's all leased. I have 9 tenants, and it's 2 acres. I have 91 parking spots.
Hold it. This is the time for you to ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
Of this
Okay.
witness, okay? And
Very
that's
good.
all you can do at this point.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. The vehicle flow for this drive-through, the entrance is where?
It'll be at the southwest corner of the site.
New Road?
It's internal to the site. The driveway on New Road will remain the same. There's no modification to our driveway. When you pull into the site, you would pull in, we extended the throat at the recommendation of the professionals, and then you have the option to pull straight in to the store, to the gas, which you'd bear left.
Right.
Or you could make a right into the queue.
But to the drive-through, the only entrance is on New Road.
It's not on the road, it's internal from the site.
The only entrance to the site
She's
is
saying to
from
get to it.
The drive-through. I'm only concerned about the drive-through.
You can come
Where-
up 46 and exit the drive-through.
No, not exit, entrance. How do you enter the, you can. So you can enter the drive-through through Route 46 and also through New Road?
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
No,
Thank you.
I've made my decision, but, yeah.
Want to call your next witness?
Yes, I would. Call Nicholas Verderisi.
So raise your right hand, you swear firm testimony you're about to give before the board to yourself you got?
Yeah.
For the record, can you state and spell your name?
Nicholas Verderisi, Verderese.
And all your licenses are in full force and effect?
Yes, they are.
And your testimony is going to be with regard to traffic, correct?
Traffic.
And you've been sworn either before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yeah, a number of times.
Mr. Chairman, he's been sworn.
Thank you.
And in particular, Mr. Verderisi, just to follow up on Mr. King's questions, do you have any particular training within the area of traffic engineering itself and designations?
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering, and I'm a licensed professional engineer and a member of the Institute of Transportation Engineers as well, and I'm a principal at Dynamic Traffic.
Okay. And you've worked on other sites that have included the mixed quick-serve restaurant like we have here and gasoline?
Yeah, probably a dozen.
Okay. Mr. Verderisi, did you have a chance to evaluate the application that's before the board tonight and come to any conclusions with respect to the traffic, not only its interaction with New Road and Route 46, but also the on-site circulation?
I did. So we did a traffic impact study. We've been involved with this site for a number of years, so we have, some data, historical data out here along New Road and 46. And I'm not going to go through all the traffic counts and everything. Everyone understands this intersection. It's a busy intersection. The traffic through the intersection during peak hours is heavy. There's, as John mentioned earlier, there's 5 lanes northbound in front of the property. We are adding a no left turn lane on the southbound direction. Currently, there's not a sign there. During our 4 hours of traffic counts, no one attempted during the peak hours to cross those 5 lanes. There may have been people in off-peak times trying that, but not during peak hours. The same thing with the left turnout. No one attempted the left turn out of that driveway as well. Essentially, the operation of this site is the majority of the traffic comes on and off of Route 46. Almost all of it exits onto 46, and about half enters from New Road and half enters from Route 46, just to give you an idea of how the site flows today. We don't anticipate that changing much. It's a very similar use as far as trip generation, a drive-through restaurant, whether it be coffee or hamburgers or chicken. They generate pretty similar traffic volumes to convenience store use. So we don't anticipate the operation changing much as far as any findings the board had previously from the previous approvals on the property. But we did counts. We grew those. Again, because of COVID, we didn't do any new counts. So we grew those counts essentially following all the methodology that the Department of Transportation is requiring us to do these days with the pandemic situation. So we grew all the existing counts. We did the normal peak hours in the morning and the afternoon that we anticipate for the site. If it's coffee, it's going to be a little heavier in the morning. If it's chicken or hamburgers, it's likely a lunchtime peak or a midday on the weekend. We're confident that, the analysis we're presenting to you is conservative and accurate at the same time. So we looked at trip generation, as I said, similar to what a convenience store is. You're going to see on the site, you're not going to see much difference in the actual operation of the site. The changes all really relate to what's happening on the property and what the circulation aspects of the property are. We did receive a letter of no interest from the Department of Transportation. I saw it in one of the review letters, so I'm assuming the board has it, but if not, I brought a couple extra copies for the secretary if she wants one for the file.
The state
copies. Essentially, all that says is we don't need any new permits because we're not modifying the driveways and the traffic. There's no significant change in the traffic volumes. So it's, again, as far as on-site, you have circulation, and again, I'm referring to what John marked as A2, circulation around the canopy. The aisle widths vary from 24 to 28 feet wide, all meeting or exceeding the ordinance requirement. There are 13 parking spaces with 6 along the front, 4 along the drive-through area, and 3 in the rear. Those 3 in the back side of the site are the likely place for the employees to park. So it'll be the least convenient. We don't anticipate a lot of parking activity, but...
Could you speak into the mic, please?
We're likely... I'll go with this one. We're likely to see upwards, maybe 20% of our traffic might be walk-in. So there was a question as to people might park. So some people do walk in from the pumps. Some do choose to drive through. You are going to get some people to walk in and do their business interior to the site. Just people, if there's, 10 cars in the drive-through and they, want to park, maybe they need to use the restroom as well, so they can do both of those activities at the same time. So some will come in, park, walk into the store. Again, there'll be a counter there for service for them, but we anticipate the majority of the activity to happen through the drive-through. As John mentioned, the drive-through window where you pick up is up here at the northeast corner of the building. Down here in the gray areas on the south side of the site are 2 separate order boards. So as far as drive-through operators, and I've worked with a number of different ones, whether they be chicken, burgers, or coffee, a lot of them are going to the 2 drive-through order board operation. What that does is, currently today, it actually takes less time at the window than it does at the order board. So what you get is, you get an unnecessary gap in the traffic between the board where you order and the window. So if 5 cars fit in here, sometimes you'll only have 3 or 4 because someone takes a long time to make an order. So it takes longer to actually order than it does to pick up your food. So what all of the operators have been doing is going to the 2 order board system. And what that's doing is, instead of it normally taking 40 seconds or so per order, they're getting that down about 25 to 30% less. So they're getting it under 30 seconds. So what it does is it starts to fill that in. So you don't get most of the queue happening behind the order board, which is the problem location, because that's where the queues start to spill out of the drive-through. For this specific facility, just to give you some numbers, so we have 13 vehicles stacked total. So that's all the vehicles that will fit inside from the window all the way back to the end of the lanes. 5 are in front of the order board, and the remaining 8 are behind. So I looked at that East Hanover site that Ms. Snyder had mentioned earlier. They have a single order point at that facility, so they're not getting that bump of 25 to 30%. They only have about a 6-car queue behind the
the order board as well. So the 8th car that we fit within the facility, those 2 cars would be out on the road. So if you're seeing 2 cars out on Route 10 at that site, they'll be comfortably stacked within this double order board facility here. We've studied, it's almost, I think it's 9 different Dunkin' Donuts throughout the state of New Jersey. Most sites have a peak between 7 and 9 cars stacked, and those are all single order. Since the pandemic, that number has gone up slightly, but that's, again, why all of the operators are going to the dual order board, because it's pushing the traffic through faster, and they're able to better accommodate the activity on the site.
Which driveway is expected to be the busiest?
So as far as the inbound traffic, it's equal. So we saw in our traffic counts about an equal number of people turning in from 46 eastbound, as well as turning in, making the right turn in New Road.
What time?
Those are from 7 to 9 in the morning and 4 to 6 in the evening, the peak times of the roadways.
Is it 7 to 9 in this, the dynamic 7 to 9 here, if people coming up New Road towards Route 80, coming off Bloomfield, and is that north? I think that's north, right? Is that north? I'm sorry. Oh, no, that would be south, right? South. Down New Road towards Route 80. Isn't that like, and then
Towards
PM
280, you
Drive
mean?
would be
280.
280.
So going south towards 280?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, coming south to 280.
Yes.
And then PM Drive would be going north New Road to Route 46.
It's coming across the intersection in the morning, the traffic is heaviest,
Yeah.
coming south.
South.
We're not getting any of that traffic. And the traffic going south,
But if you were,
this site isn't set up for that. They're probably going to Wawa at the end of the road to get their
Right.
coffee or whatever, because they're not coming here.
you don't
The people that
anticipate-
we're
hold on,
picking up,
Right. Let me continue on that exit
Okay.
map, okay? So, right, and I can see your point in regards to holding out for Wawa, but for that coffee fanatic, let's just say, coming off that ramp, do you foresee, or is it your witness in regards to monitoring the site, that people would make that left onto 46 and come into the egress off of 46 to access that drive-through? Do you understand what I'm saying? If they really wanted to get the coffee at this particular site?
so if they were coming south to get to this site, yeah, they would
that exit
they would
ramp.
make the left at the traffic signal
Right.
and then make the right into
Exactly.
46 is what they're
Right.
doing now, yes.
That would be pretty much the people that were gonna continue 46.
Yes, because you can't continue south from
Turn
here.
around and get on 280
Yeah,
from
so the majority of the people here are people in the morning. So if it's a coffee business, you're gonna get the people commuting east, because that's the heavier direction in the morning. Actually, it's equal here, interestingly. Equal traffic on 46, but commuters on 46 traveling east, you're picking them up. You're also picking people up that are coming north on New Road, that either are starting their commute and they want to go east on 46, or they actually are going they could be going east on 80 and come up and use Bloomfield Avenue and go down and get on 80 from there. So you're getting both of those. But almost 90+% of the traffic coming to this site is someone just driving past the site on 46 or driving past the site northbound on New Road.
Could you point out again where the Dunkin' signs are going to be
The signs,
located? Just if you're coming down Route 46, how far?
so there's a pylon sign, it exists, it's sitting right here that you can view. And there's also another sign here. So they're essentially located at both, identifying the 2 driveway locations for eastbound traffic and northbound traffic. So I have 2 questions. So when you're traveling
on New Road, and you pull in to the right. So you said 50% of the traffic pulls in off of 46, 50% pulls in off of New Road, right?
Correct.
Of the 50% that pulls in off of New Road, how many pull out and continue on New Road, and how many would pull out and go onto 46 East?
Yeah, so, only a handful came back out
So
onto
most
New
go-
Road.
Come back,
No, no,
straight?
most of them get onto 46.
Oh, so, okay, because that's I guess my biggest concern right now is the traffic queue building up backing up onto New Road.
Yeah, so
Right.
I'll give you the exact number so you understand.
Okay.
So, this is currently how it's operating today. In the morning, 39 people made a right turn in.
Yep.
Only 3 people came out and made a right.
Okay. So that's.
Most of the people were people that were probably coming up here and making a right onto 46. They came, did their business, and then made a right onto 46.
So then the other question is, I would assume if it's a Dunkin' Donuts, their peak hour is more in the morning. And not in the PM.
Correct.
Okay. But we don't know we're committed to Dunkin' Donuts yet.
Did you notice any cars using it as a cut-through for avoiding the light?
I didn't notice it, but it's always possible when you're on the corner, yes.
The person that's coming to this site and is going to get into the drive-in lane, the first time he comes, what's the likelihood of him going past that driveway?
Past the drive-through
He doesn't
driveway?
see it quick.
Oh, when he
Turn
turns in?
And the driveway's right there.
We could probably add some paint make the right in for the person that doesn't see it. But when you're on New Road and you're making the right in, what's right in front of you is the drive-through, so I don't anticipate that people are gonna miss it. If you miss it the first time, you go park or you drive around the
It's not right
canopy
in
and
front
you
of
come
you.
in.
It's to the right. It's not right in front of you.
Well, you're making a right, so you're looking to your right, so it's right there, you see the drive-through.
My one question, so there's more, so the cars coming off of 46, just help me on this one. If there's a queue from the cars off of New Road, 8 cars are stacked back there and there's 5 in the lane or whatever. So I'm coming off of 46 now and I come into the site. Where do I get in the queue?
You just get in the back of there's 2 lanes, so you can pick whatever lane
So I
you
have to go
choose
around
to
the one
use.
building to get to the back of that lane, right?
Could you show that traffic pattern for us?
So the pattern we're talking about is making a right in.
Correct.
So you'll likely, I guess you have 2 options. You can come straight across between the canopy and the building, then circulate around, then make a left in. Or if you make the immediate right, circulate around the canopy, then you're driving straight into the, I would say most of them are likely coming straight down, making a right and a left.
And if there's no cars there, there's no problem, right?
Yes. Well, that's why we provided 13 and a dual order board, because we don't want it to back up past
How
there.
many cars can be queued up from
13.
the order board to the driveway?
So we're showing 8 vehicles on there. You might be able to get a 9th at the back of this one, but we're just showing 8.
8 from the order board.
Yes.
Yeah, and then 13 for the complete.
Will cars stick out from under getting gas under the canopy? Will they be impacting the driveway at all?
The aisles are oversized, so I don't have any issue with if it did stick out slightly, but, maybe a couple feet out in the front and back.
What will it look like when deliveries are made?
Yeah, so deliveries happen, again, the deliveries are gonna come in box trucks, and at least for Dunkin', we know they're coming early morning with the donuts before there's really any activity here at 5 o'clock in the morning.
What about fuel?
Fuel is controlled by the operator, so, we will stipulate, and I'm sure we did in the last, I wasn't the traffic engineer the last time, to bring it in on the off-peak. Now with a morning user, he's likely not gonna want to, bring any tractor trailer activity in the morning.
Night or
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah, if he comes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not gonna be a problem because if it's a Dunkin' Donuts, there's not much going on.
So the traffic patterns that you have studied for establishments that have the dual lane driving up to the order boards, you witnessed no instances or cases where there's a regular ebb and flow that does bleed into and go into the main roadways?
Well, all the ones we've done so far to date, because they've all been in the past
essentially most of them before the pandemic. None of the ones with the 2 order boards have been built, at least for Dunkin' Donuts, but we've observed them for, other users. McDonald's is one that we've
And so
observed.
do they overflow into the area roadways?
Not at the McDonald's ones that we've done with the 2 order boards. They've been controlled well with the 2 order boards.
You're confident, given the number of cars that go through there, that 8 is all you're expecting to back up?
Well, we actually, so when we do our queue counts, we count all of the cars in there because there are some cars queued in the front. So when we looked at 7 to 9, that includes, used to be 3 in front of the order board. They've moved the order board back and came up with a better system. They have some new people there that actually came from McDonald's and they're working at Dunkin' Donuts. I know I keep talking about Dunkin' Donuts, but any of the users of the 2 drive-throughs, menu boards, it's been tested enough now and they've figured it out. Starbucks doesn't do 2, so this is not likely to be Starbucks. There was some discussion about Starbucks. Starbucks doesn't go into sites with gas as well, so it's not going to be a Starbucks facility, but.
Assuming it's.
Yeah, we're more than comfortable. This is a longer stack than we've designed, and we've done a dozen in the last 3 years or so of just coffee. And we've done McDonald's, I've done Chick-fil-A's. Chick-fil-A's a whole different animal. We put 50 cars in the stack now for them. This will never be, it's 1,400 square feet, and they require seating, and it's obviously not any of those users. It's not McDonald's, it's not gonna be, someone that requires seating, but it could be, maybe a Popeyes that relies on drive-through, or even a Burger King possibly. It's a little small maybe, but.
And this is gonna be open 24 hours. What kind of when will staffing be modified? Because right now it's 3 staff, 1 for the 2 menu boards, 1 for the gas station?
Yeah, 3, maybe at peak time in the morning, if it's coffee, they may end up with 3 inside the store and 1 at the gas. As you're aware, there were 12 fueling positions here before, and the owner is comfortable going from 12 to 8 because his business just isn't that heavy for the gas. So he's going down to 8, so he's comfortable that it'll just be 1 under the canopy to handle the 8 fueling positions.
Any other questions of this witness? Any questions by members of the public of this witness on the testimony given? Please come on up.
When will you know what type of franchise is going to be in this drive-through?
I'm going to pass that one to our attorney because I don't know the answer.
I don't have a time frame. I don't have one answer for you here tonight on the decision, but I can say that the owner is actively working on that issue. That's why we're here tonight as well.
Okay.
5-minute break.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yes.
Scott only needed 1 minute.
Yeah.
Cross.
Yes, I completed.
Can you describe that?
Back on the meeting.
John,
Yep.
sorry.
Who's this guy?
John?
I'd like to introduce my 3rd and hopefully final witness tonight, John McDonough.
box.
Who is a professional planner who appears to be known to this board.
Raise your right
I
hand.
remember when you had dark hair.
It got a little longer too.
Do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give before the board is yourself you got?
Yes, I do.
For the record, you're a certified planner?
Yes, my name is Sean McDonough. I'm the project planner. Licenses are current and in good standing.
And you've been qualified before this board and other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I have.
Mr. Chairman, he is sworn and qualified.
Thank you very much, Mr. King. Mr. McDonough, are you familiar with the application that's being presented here tonight?
Yes, I am.
And have you reviewed this application with respect to the planning rationale for the relief that's being sought here tonight?
Yes, I have.
And can you please review and we've given an exhibit to the board, which we'd like to now mark as A3, I believe we're up to. And that is a Eight-page exhibit?
That's correct. It's a
Eight-page-
packet of photos and maps to document site condition and context. Actually, 6 photos, 6.
And that you prepared?
I prepared them, yes.
And so each member of the board should have a copy of this document, as well as a member of the public who's also been given a copy of it as well. Mr. McDonough, did you prepare that exhibit?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, if you could, for the board, please review what you learned about the site and what your thoughts are about the planning rationale with respect to the relief being sought here today.
Sure thing. We're looking at a well-known corner in the community. We're at the junction of 46 and New Road, which we know is a major, I'll say, transportation node in the community, right off of 280 there. This site, again, is one that has been repurposed by this applicant here. This applicant does this throughout New Jersey, takes sites such as this with the gas convenience model or even the gas repair model and repurpose them, modernize them. It's exactly what the applicant did here 10 years ago, and clear proof is just go back and look at the Google photos from what this site looked like prior to this applicant getting it and repurposing it. This is a constant evolution of a site, and land use, as we know, evolves. It's not meant to stay still in the public eye. More than any other land use, retail is supposed to evolve to stay fresh. If we go back and look at this site back in the 1930s, it was a farm, it was a farmhouse. 46 wasn't there, New Road was there, and there were some steps probably that went down for the farmer to access the river and do his fishing or whatever. So they serve no purpose today. It's just a remnant of what was. The 1950s, 1960s, we see the highways start to come in, Route 46 and New Road. Shortly thereafter, the service uses started to follow, including a repair facility with gas. Again, the evolving nature of the use. This has always been a gas station for upwards of 6 or 7 decades. Started with a towing component, a repair component, to repair cars all over the facility as well. We look at the 1980s, that retail strip center adjacent that we've heard from our interested party wasn't even there back in the 1980s. And then, of course, the 1990s come around in 2000, 2010. We start to see the evolution, the change of this use and the repurposing again, which is exactly what this applicant did. Took that repair component away. That was actually there in the 80s, and that went away with a prior approval. And then in the 2010 range of time, that's when these upgrades that you see that are out there now took place. There's going to be a shift of the reconfiguration of the site as it now exists, changing it 90 degrees. So we'll see it's oriented towards New Road as opposed to 46. That is going to improve the flow, the function, and the operation of the site, and introduce what, again, is a use that I believe, or an adaptation of this use, that has gained currency, certainly within the last 12 months, much like Zoom has gained currency. The drive-through, which has always been there, has gained currency as well for its convenience, for its safety, for avoiding those pedestrian and vehicle conflicts of people going into and out of a store. It keeps people in the cars, gets them in and out of the site. So with that predicate, we'll just give you some background of the physical aspects of the site, and then we'll launch right into the proofs. I don't think we'll take particularly long here. But with respect to the site itself, again, we're looking at a 3/4 acre site on the corner of New Road and Route 46. It's developed with an auto service station and a convenience store already. Second page shows that we're at the corner of Route 46 and New Road, which again, as I said, is a major transportation node. It is a signalized intersection, so movements at the intersection are protected for vehicles. And the plan here are for modifications to reconfigure that fueling area, construct this new QSR land use, which I think, again, with that drive-through amenity, is certainly gaining currency and responding to the industry trend. There's a reduction in the number of pumps from 6 to 4, and the size of the store from north of 2,000 square feet down to 1,475 square feet, with just a very small component being dedicated to actual retail use. This is not inviting as a walk-in type of use, certainly not as a sit-down type of use, and that's why this will cater to, again, the efficiency of the operation of getting vehicles through the site. It's a nice complementary land use to that which is there. This is a use variance. It's a conditional use variance. It's not a user variance, so we're not here talking about a particular brand. It lends itself very well to name brand land uses, or name brands that would go with this, but again, we're not pigeonholed to a particular brand at the present time. With respect to other aspects of what we've included in the packet here, sheet number 3 is a color coding of the surrounding land use context. Key point here is along 46 and New Road, we're looking at predominantly non-residential uses. That's what's in red. There are the apartments, which actually came after the gas station. If you go back and look at the historical maps that are on the opposite side, that's one of the reasons why we have a conditional use variance here. But we're not worsening that condition. We're not exacerbating that condition. And in fact, the improvements back in 2010, 2011, granted the same exact relief that the applicant would need now for proximity to residential right on the other side of New Road. And clearly, there's a divide between the subject site and New Road by virtue of all those lanes of traffic that come in between. 4th page is just the zoning. Again, to remind the board here, we are in the B2 zone. This is not the B1 zone. This is not the neighborhood commercial zone. This is the highway commercial zone, where highway commercial uses are not only permitted, but encouraged as well. It's the exact type of use that is wanted here along the highway. Service uses that will cater to the motoring public. The land use follows the transportation pattern, and that's why this land use is here and adopting. 5 and 6 are drone photographs of the subject property that we took a couple months ago, just to show the physical condition. You do get a sense of, I'll say, the healthy viability of that retail strip center right next door, and this will add to the viability of this site as well with this newer version of the land use and that drive-through amenity, which is in high demand. Importantly, some of the key things that will jump out from these vantages, we have 2 signs out there now, 2 freestanding signs, so we're not increasing that in any respect. You do have the canopy signs, you've got the 2 signs on the building as well, so basically following the pattern of what's already out there, again, with the repurposing or the repanelizing to reflect what the ultimate new user would be here. So not a substantial change in the overall sign package. And on the last sheet, I actually say that's a view looking southeast, but that's a view looking northeast. So we've given you a view in one direction, and then we've given you a view in the other direction as well. Again, just to give a sense of the context and the condition of the property. With respect to the relief that the applicant needs, the primary relief here is for D3, conditional use relief, both with respect to the conditional use standards for an automobile service station with a retail component and a fast food restaurant with a drive-through component. Both are permitted conditional uses, so importantly, we're not looking at the higher or more stringent test of D1. This is a D3 variance. We look at the conditions of themselves and whether any of those purposes of those conditions are being violated. These conditions are more akin to bulk relief. So basically what we're looking here in terms of the test are what you would traditionally see for bulk variances with the higher aspect of a supermajority vote as opposed to a simple majority vote. In terms of the basis for the relief, on the positive side, the proposed modifications, as you've heard, will improve the function, the flow, the operation of the site. With that added drive-through amenity, we're going to benefit public safety, public comfort, public convenience, efficiency, and a nice weather protection element as well, that people do not have to get out of their cars on a rainy day, a snowy day, an icy day, or the like. The modifications also, going all the way back to John's testimony, will make the site greener. We're going to improve the pervious coverage on this property, and our applicant always adds a robust landscape to its improvements and properties. That's happening here as well. And as you've heard through John's testimony, all new site improvements as well. So it's a 10-year-old site. This is going to be another complete modification or another complete modernization of that land use that's there. All of the above would promote purposes of the land use law, especially Purpose A, Purpose G, Purpose H, Purpose I, and Purpose M. And then finally, with respect to the negative criteria, we look at those individual conditions that are being deviated. In terms of the conditional use standards for auto service stations, 4 of the 8 standards are met. The 4 that are not met were previously granted. The proximity to residential and other service stations is exactly the same as previously approved. The side yard setback of 29.6 versus the 50 feet is going to go in an area that would be closest to the river but is already disturbed. The edge of pavement is not moving closer to the river. The building is moving slightly closer, but the improvements themselves are not. And you can see that from the aerial photographs we've given you. The driveway offset being less than 50 feet from the intersection and the width being greater than 30 feet, again, match the existing condition. Our interested party had a concern about those driveways. They're not changing. They're going to be exactly that which is there now. And then the signage package is really going to maintain or modify that which is there now. You're allowed one road sign, you're allowed one wall sign. The applicant has and is asking for 2 in both regards. And we think the overall sign package is tasteful and efficiently guides wayfinding and clear and safe identification of the site. With respect to the drive-through, 2 conditional use standards are being deviated. We're actually looking at 9 of the 11 actually being complied with here. The fast food drive-through lot area of 0.74 versus 1. We have a well-thought-out plan here by an experienced engineer who does a lot of these, that the site will function safely and efficiently, notwithstanding the lot area. And the building drive-through size is going to be at 1,475 square feet versus 2,500 square feet. This is a more efficient means of serving the patrons here. Additional space is not needed. We think this operates at a premium with the size that's being proposed here, and optimal efficiency, and works appropriately here. That covers the D relief. And then finally, with respect to the lower C relief, I think the board can move favorably in that the benefits of the application as a whole would substantially outweigh the detriments. Clearly, this is taking what's there and making it better. None of the C relief would cause impacts of a substantially adverse nature. I know that John hit every one of them when he gave his testimony. Again, I'll just tie them all back to the C2 balancing standard. If the board wants to hear any more testimony with regard to any of them, the setbacks, the driveway radii, the buffer, the signage, I'll clearly go through it, but I think the test is clearly met here. And in that regard, I believe the statutory test for relief is met and approval is warranted.
Thank you very much, Mr. McDonough. I have nothing further for this witness.
John, on the sheet number 6, where it shows the entrance off New Road and the shell sign, is that sign going to be in the same location, so the entrance to the drive-through would be just beyond the sign? I'm just trying to correlate it to the
Just
plan.
take a double, let me, it caught us all off guard. It looks like it's in the same location, yes.
Right, so you come in just past the sign, then you would turn into the drive-through.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
On New Road entrance side, approximately how many cars in between the entrance to your site and the previous next plaza?
I don't know if that's Mr. McDonough's answer, but Mr. Verderisi's still here. I'm not sure if he has the answer to that.
I'll defer to Nick, but I'll say by eye, it's 4 to 5, 5 to 6, between driveways.
So the overflow of the queue, let's say.
Would be another 4 to 5, yes, or 5 to 6. I'm looking spatially, you see a little white vehicle? Uh-huh.
What's your guess, Nick? From the edge of the driveway, from the strip center to your driveway, how much space is there? It's not 100 feet.
How much is it?
Nick agrees with me.
What?
5.
5 cars?
Yes.
Can we put a sign up out there saying, queuing for unknown donut, not permitted on street? Is that
we
a
talking-
possibility? No, I'm not saying they're gonna pay attention to it, but I
think you need,
like people at least know they can't do it.
I think you need a sign when you turn onto the site that identifies that driveway that's right there.
Queuing up
Well, it
traffic.
seems like a painted right turn arrow would solve that problem. The other thing I was thinking is, do we need to do a don't block the box grid at the driveway where I'm afraid cars might queue to get in, like if you're coming off of 46 South, if you want to get in the queue, you're gonna block the driveway to wait. And I'm thinking if you stripe that off where you can't block the box, that might resolve some of the issues.
You're on 46 eastbound?
No, so if I'm coming off 46 and I pull in, I turn
Oh, okay.
right,
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm gonna cut down and get into the drive-through.
So I think what we're talking about is in this
I
area
don't
here.
want cars waiting there to get in, because they're gonna block the new road people from being able to turn.
Yeah, we've done that in other sites, with entrance to the drive-through. We can do that. We can also add a small, I don't know what your ordinance allows as far as directional signage on the site, but we could put something small, 2 square feet or whatever, that just has the drive-through.
Whatever you think you need to make it work better.
Yeah. And I like Mr. Kaplan.
It's not a problem.
I think we were talking about it before, about putting the right turn arrow that when you come in.
Yeah, right turn arrow helps, and then they.
We can work with Chaz on some striping in this area. It'll be a combination of like moving this arrow down, maybe striping a little something in the middle here and a little do not block the box right there.
Okay. Clearly, if I come out onto Route 46, I can only go eastbound on 46, so I can only turn right.
Correct.
If I come out of this site to New Road, can I go turn left?
Well, not legally. Not legally.
Legally, you can't, so there's no left turns?
No left turn out and no left turn in. So it essentially operates as 2 right turn in, right turn out driveways.
Okay.
Yeah, Dunkin' has been definitely promoting their order ahead and come in, and sometimes they have, you can sit in your car and it'll bring it out to you, or you just run in and it's already made up for you. So what's your experience with that? Because we were talking about you come off 46, park, run in, grab your whatever, and then back out and go back on 46.
Sure. We anticipate that. So, I mean, I'm a mobile order person myself, so I don't use the Dunkin' brand, but I use a different brand. And I park and I walk in and I come back out with my coffee. Because again, I'm one of those people that when I see 10 cars in the queue, I'm not going to be the 11th one. So I just order ahead. I go in, I get it, and I'm out fast.
Spots are right in front there.
There's 6 right across the face, another 4, so there's really 10 oriented right to the building, which is way more than we're
So,
gonna need.
we keep using Duncan as what we believe is going in there. And I guess part of the reason is because I think it's probably the most favorable for you guys to present your case.
For me, it's actually not the most favorable.
Why?
Because their queues are longer at the drive-through. And they get more traffic in the peak hour than the cough.
Then Starbucks?
No, this would never be Starbucks. So we'll take Starbucks off the table. I'm talking about chicken and burger place or sub place. The peak in the morning of a Dunkin' is higher than the peak of any other one of those
Right,
users.
but the peak in the morning is probably less of a concern because it's less traffic at that time at that spot.
Yeah.
Right, the peak traffic on New Road is probably 5 to 7.
Afternoon.
Which is,
Yes,
which
northbound New Road.
Dunkin' works because there's less people getting coffee at 5 to 7. So that's why, to me, that's an optimal use as opposed to something that is busier later when traffic is busier later at that spot.
On New Road.
On New Road, correct. I'm not really, me personally, I'm not really concerned about Route 46. That seems to have a flow to it that makes more sense, and it doesn't interfere with the other property. Really, I'm more concerned about any potential queue on New Road, affecting the adjacent property especially, not just traffic, but the adjacent property.
Well, I mean, I have concerns not only for the adjacent property, but I also have concerns in regards to its impact relative to that choke point by Rutgers Village. That is a significant choke point. If anybody witnesses that dynamic on northbound New Road, especially during the afternoon drive, and we don't even have to talk about afternoon drive, we could even just take that from noon on, because there's a lot of truck traffic coming down, and it is extremely tight to the point where there is a lot of traffic already with this existing condition as they're operating, going all the way back to that, the dental center that they're converting to that recycling that, this board has approved. And so, this is a very there's a lot happening here, and this part is very congested before it breaks out to 5 lanes, and everybody's got to commit to a lane depending on where they want to go.
If I may, Mr. Murray, when you first looked at this site for stacking, what did you believe was necessary, or what is the stacking today that's being provided?
What I thought was necessary was probably about 10 cars. What we've been able to do here is 13, and 10 is when it's only a single lane. So I have 13 now with 2 lanes, so I feel even better about the stacking. As far as the volumes, and there was some discussion about when it's busiest, let me give you some comparisons. So a fast food restaurant in the morning generates less than the coffee. But a convenience store generates almost exactly the same amount of morning traffic as a Dunkin'.
But you're making it seem like we would approve a convenience center.
There's one there now.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about your McDonald's, I'm sorry, pardon me, for some reason.
Then the peak for the fast food restaurant, so the burgers and the chicken, their peak is at lunch. You're not concerned with lunch.
Right.
In the evening, the peak of the coffee is slightly less, about 10 trips. So it's not that much less than what happens. And then on the weekend, the coffee's a little heavier. So the coffee has a heavier peak on the weekend than the
My experience
fast
is
food.
that the traffic really is the problem during the week, not on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
In the afternoon.
Absolutely.
Right.
Is there a no left turn coming south on New Road?
There is not today, but we're adding a sign for that. Yes.
I have a question now.
I've never witnessed
When
that.
it's lighter, cars trying to
Yeah.
cut
Yeah,
through.
either gotta be hammered
Right.
or.
Yeah, but I've never witnessed anybody trying to do that.
I have a question. We are talking a lot about everything about Dunkin' Donut and the traffic from 46 and the new road. The numbers you gave us, does that include the traffic for the gas station?
Yeah, the gas is a wash, so actually, we didn't really factor it in, but the gas is, because there's less pumps, it's technically gonna be a lower number, because there's less movement of vehicles, so if it starts to queue up, you're gonna have people skipping, where when there was 12 fueling positions, they could accommodate more on the gas.
On the flip side, I think because you have a less number of pumps, are you going to have like car that like has a tank on the right side, can go only on one side, and a car on left, because that complicates the, internal circulation?
Yeah, they have the long hose that they could flip it to the other side, yes.
All right, thanks.
I have a question, and I don't know if it goes to John McDonough or the application. We've talked about what it won't be, and then we kind of say, well, it's like this, but we don't have a contract. Somehow or other, you're going to have to set some boundaries to this. I think it was already said, it's not going to be a Chick-fil-A. Could be accommodated. But if the board went ahead with this, approved this application as it stands, it could be a Chick-fil-A.
And take out on.
I don't know what, we can't say no chicken, no hamburgers. Maybe we can. I don't know if that's. This question, I know you have questions, but they've got to see whether or not you can make limits to this.
I think the intent is that it's a coffee shop.
Yes.
So whatever that ITE classification is, that just stipulate that that's what it'll be.
That's it?
It's gonna be
coffee.
Yep, whatever that land use
And for
category
whatever
is.
reason, you ruled out.
Excuse me, we're not ready for you yet, okay?
Starbucks because of some reason. You don't like them, I guess.
I'm not sure we can.
You said that fuel, they don't go where fuel is.
But on the standpoint of site selection,
We could.
that'll also, when the franchises come and try to do a site selection, they're gonna look at some of those factors as well. When you look at.
Yeah, I mean, Mr.
We can't count on franchises having the interest of the township in mind when they do their site selection.
We just went through this with, and it was an application for a 7-Eleven on the corner of Littleton Road,
Littleton
Parsippany Road and 202, and they wanted a 7-Eleven. They wouldn't tell us what the other store was gonna be, because they didn't know. And we went around for hours and hours, and they finally withdrew the application. So,
Well, here they're gonna limit.
so I wanna zero in as much as we can, if we approve this, as to what they're going to, what it's gonna be.
And I leave it to Mr. King.
Excuse me 1 second, ma'am. You will have your opportunity, okay? We are nowhere ready yet for your questions.
To exclude a specific business or franchise may be objectionable. If you want to narrow it down to the ones we may select, that could be a different story. But I'm not sure we can do, quote, exclusion of one brand over another.
Well, we don't have to approve the application either. Very simple.
I'm just talking about.
I'm ready to go home right now anyway, okay? So
No, I'm not arguing with your point. I'm just saying. that-
cooperate with us.
I am.
Cooperate with
What I'm
us,
saying
okay?
is I'm appreciating the fact you want an affirmative. as to
You
what
wanna
we
come
can-
back when you've got the tenant, then we'll come back when you got the tenant, okay? All right?
I'm not comfortable. If they don't have a confirmed tenant, I'm not.
Well, I think the offering was, it would be limited to the ITE classification for a coffee shop. I don't know what that looks like.
What is that? What is that?
I don't know.
Can we see that in
That's
writing?
doctorly food. Yes, exactly. I'm not voting on that. I'm telling you.
How many
I'm sick of
ITs are
voting
there?
for things with blindfolds on
I
this
agree,
board.
I agree.
We gotta
Mr. Snyder.
stop
I agree.
this.
I agree.
This is nonsense. We approve things that vary in scale and look like bad patchwork of architecture.
Take it.
I'm sorry.
Take it.
Yes.
If I may, well, I think we need to finish with Mr. McDonough. The principal of the property owner is here, and he might be able to address some of these questions for you as well.
Okay.
But I am working with you, and my apologies if it came off wrong. I'm trying to work with you on narrowing it down and addressing your concern about what might go here, like if it's a Chick-fil-A, you don't want to hear because we all know those types of things. But in terms of a resolution and decision, I'm more concerned about making sure we do something in the sense that we're doing within the confines of what we should be able to do, which is, if we want to limit it to a certain use, i.e. Dunkin' Donuts. But that's certainly a discussion. The affirmative, I believe we're more able to do than the negative, and I'm just trying to make sure we do it all correctly. But I totally understand where you're coming from, and not approving something you will live to regret, and we think you're going to be very
Well,
happy.
I think what you've come through here looks significantly better than the application you had however many years ago it was, okay? So you've done a significant amount of improvements, in my opinion, there. I think we just need to finalize it and decide if it'll work.
What I'd like to do, and I know we have the person from the public who she'd like to ask some questions. The owner, one of the principals of the site, would like to testify. I'll give you a couple of ways. I'll leave it to the board how they want to handle it.
Okay,
We can
well,
finish up Mr. McDonough's testimony.
That's what we're gonna do
and I'll-
tonight. That's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna finish up Mr. McDonough, and we quit at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So we got enough time for Mr. McDonough to finish and ask a question, and then you can bring the applicant back for the next hearing where he can testify. So, any other, I wanna make sure that we've got all our questions asked of Mr. McDonough. Chaz, you okay down there? I see, okay. Now, ma'am, if you have a question of Mr. McDonough, now is the time you can ask the question.
What time were these pictures taken?
Around 2:30 afternoon?
Right, the slowest time of the day.
That's it? Laura, what do we got? What do you got? You just got one witness then?
Just, yes, I'd like to call Wasim Chowdhury.
We're not gonna hear him tonight.
What?
We're not gonna hear him tonight.
Okay, that would just
Yeah.
be,
No, because that's just gonna open up for questions, and we got 6 minutes.
we'll shortcut the whole testimony. He will say, we will leave it to a Dunkin' Donuts coffee shop, and we'll do that tonight. If we have to come back and do it, something else, we'll do it.
I don't know if we're gonna be able to go into conference. I mean, what's everybody's opinion here? He has no more witnesses. We still have to hear from the objector, because she's probably gonna wanna talk.
I don't want to stay till 10:30.
I think we're gonna have to carry the case.
I appreciate the board's time at this late hour.
I'm sorry.
Only because it doesn't end at 10:30.
Well, the problem is
The
that,
fact you're all volunteers,
Yeah.
you're doing this on your own time, and I'm not gonna squabble.
there's people that have to get up and go to work tonight. So you have to understand, we're gonna make a date right now for this hearing again. And you're not gonna get any other further notice, so you're gonna have to go by what we say right now, okay? So, Nora?
Nora? Yes, I heard.
What do we need, a half hour, probably?
If he needs only half hour, maybe we can do a special from 7 to 7:30 on another evening.
Yeah, that would be great.
When?
All right,
You wanna do it next week? 7 o'clock next week?
Hold on.
Let's
Next
remove
week is virtual.
Oh, that's remote, I'm sorry. 2 weeks, do it 7 o'clock in 2 weeks?
We have a full special meeting.
We already have a special meeting for that.
July 14th.
July 14th. 7 o'clock on July 14th? 7 o'clock on July 14th, give you half hour, okay? Oh, I'm
Wait a
sorry,
minute.
but I
Hold
forgot.
on, I apologize. You already have one. July 28th.
July 28th, 7 o'clock, July 28th.
If the board would like to, we can do virtual next week, if that's available, if you wanna do that.
We have
But
a
you get notice as soon as
huge
you can.
application. We have the,
I will not be
first
around.
one.
Yeah, we have that St. Peter's one next week,
That's a
which is gonna be
special
horrible.
meeting next week.
Yeah,
That's a
special meeting. Yeah. All right, so, July 29th,
28.
28, 7 o'clock, no further notice with whatever extensions are required, and, you'll provide, okay?
I'll provide any extensions that the board needs, and 7 o'clock, just to confirm, 7 o'clock, you said?
7 o'clock on the 28th, do I have a motion to that effect?
Yeah, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
That's in
Okay.
person here, right?
That's in person.
Again, thank you. Mr.
Okay,
Chairman,
thank you.
Thank you, members of the board. We appreciate it. See you in a couple weeks.
All right, Mr. Chairman, heading back down.
Motion to adjourn to the Philadelphia Flower Show. But the weather is outdoors, it's not indoors.
Board adjourned?
We're adjourned?
Adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Chairman, motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, yes, so moved, okay. Any opposed? No, okay, good, we're done.
That's good night. Scan them to me, that'd be perfect.
Thank you, not on,
You're the best.
I'll go out on the voice.
Oh, really? On the ice?
$89 a person?
That's not bad.
You don't have to come by
The whole day?
No, 5 hours. I gotta go, I gotta learn, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how to fit. I'm sorry. That's right. I just try to be careful.
Oh, I know, it's all my.
Because we have a use